guys, welcome back to my channel for another video. If you're new, welcome. My name is Ashley and I am excited you stopped by to watch today's video. So before we jump into the topic of today's video on how I homeschool well, I wanted to let you know where I got this video idea from. This is from you guys over on Instagram, which is always linked down in my description box. As I was kind of gathering and researching and deciding what things you all wanted me to share more about here on my YouTube channel, this video was actually requested by you guys quite a few times, and it was one that made me pause and kind of think to myself, wow, I mean, I don't want to make a video about how I homeschool well. And then I asked myself, well, do I homeschool well? And then I said to myself, yes, I think I do homeschool well. But how can I make a video saying I homeschool well? It just sounds, you know, it just doesn't sound right. So, but what I gathered was really what you guys were saying is like, I've been doing this for a long time. I haven't completely lost myself in the process. You've seen my kids grow and mature in, you know, healthy ways, and I am able to work on YouTube while also homeschool, and so a lot of it I felt was coming from that direction. And so once I considered that, I thought, well, maybe I can share some things that I do that allow me to homeschool well. But I want to make it crystal clear, so here is the disclaimer. I am not telling you that this is how you should homeschool, and I am also not saying that this is how everyone should homeschool to homeschool well. What I am saying is that this is how I homeschool my children well, and that question in and of itself is left up to every individual's interpretation. So I wanted to make a little intro before we dove into the things that I feel allow me to homeschool well. And if you like homeschool advice or encouragement videos, please give me a thumbs up on this video so I know that that is something you guys want to continue to see from me. So without further delay, this is how I homeschool well, and I hope that it helps you guys. So the first thing that I think is key to homeschooling your children well is to have it be your number one priority in your day and in your life, and you know, about your number 2 or 3 priority behind the Lord in your heart. Homeschooling is not a secondary thing that you just tack on to the end of the day filled of other things that you would rather be doing. Homeschooling really is a way of life. It's a it's an all-encompassing thing for a family, and I think in order to homeschool well, you do have to have those attitudes and those heart attitudes be correct in your life. Now, when you first start homeschooling, you might not be there yet, and that's totally fine. I'm speaking as someone who's been doing this for a long time, but I think in order to homeschool well, you do have to have it be the number one priority in your day. I think that you also have to be passionate about homeschooling and why you do it, and I think you also need to have the attitude of gratitude when it comes to homeschooling, and that's not to say that there's not going to be hard and challenging days with your kids where you want to lose your marbles, because that definitely happens. But as an overall theme, I think in order to homeschool well, you have to be thankful for the ability and the privilege to teach your children. I think if you do it begrudgingly, or you do it out of fear, or you do it out of really any other reason than being thankful for the opportunity and the gift, then I think that that translates into your homeschool, and I think you might see the fruit of that negative attitude or that negative connotation that you have toward it, versus the opposite of being thankful and appreciative and just, you know, passionate about why you're doing the work that you're doing. I think that that is the number one thing that needs to happen before you can homeschool well, is you've got to have a heart check, a heart attitude, an adjustment from God. You've got to have those things in line. The second thing that I think is very important to homeschooling well is finding homeschooling curriculum and resources that suit your family's current needs. I cannot stress this enough. I could just say it again and again and again. Homeschooling is so much more than curriculum that you use, but curriculum is a piece to homeschooling that does have to fit your family. And I think that there's no perfect curriculum out there. There will always be something shiny and new coming out. But I think once you find something that just works really well for your family, whether it be your learning styles, your kids' learning styles, their preferences, the time, whatever the situation might be in your particular homeschool, having curriculum that suits your family, suits your children is very important to homeschooling well. And I also do want to go out on a limb here and say that I think there is value to using the same curriculum for an extended amount of time. If you are changing curriculum in your homeschool constantly, I do think that there are disadvantages to that. There may be gaps in learning. There might be gaps in curriculum. I think it's difficult to always be teaching yourself and your kids how to use something new. And so I do think that there can be negatives to changing up curriculum all of the time. So finding that curriculum that suits your family well is very important. And I think that that is a key component to how I homeschool well. Number 3 is how I homeschool well, and this is part specific to my life, is that I am very scheduled. I have systems and rhythms in place. My kids are well aware of those systems and rhythms. I have a paper planner because I am a planner girl, and I manage everything with my planner. I could not do it without writing it all down. I have to have a brain dump and get it all out. I have to be able to delegate and see, okay, on this day, this will fit for work after I do these things with the kids. And I'm always basically playing Tetris with my planner. That is how I am able to kind of always keep everything going without everything just basically falling apart. So I think being schedule oriented is important, and I'm not talking about times per se, like begin times, end times, that type of schedule, but I think having a rhythm and flow to your day is very important for efficiency and effectiveness in homeschooling. Number 4 is I generally do not overload my days, and that is one thing that I have learned through becoming a more seasoned homeschooler. Is I am a better homeschool mom and a better mom in general and a better teacher and a better wife and a better human being when I am not stressed out to the max. So I truly try to schedule nothing extra on our homeschooling days. I leave everything white. It'll say school at the top, and it'll say my workout, and it'll say where kids have to be at night, but there is nothing in the day. And I do that for 98% of our homeschool days, and that has enabled me to homeschool my children with patience and with just a more relaxed attitude and approach, rather than taking on the attitude of rushing them through everything and not enjoying the homeschooling experience at all. Or because, you know, I was personal training at the beginning and I had clients I had to get to at a certain time. So removing things that were causing me to feel a rushed sense in our homeschool was huge for me, and it really helped me homeschool well. The next tip that I have for you is goes along with number 1, but truly taking the time to research homeschooling, research the public school system, research your why into why you homeschool. I think you do have to really love it to dedicate so much of your time and your life to it. And even if you don't love every moment of teaching, let's say math, that is, you know, understandable. We're all human beings. I think you do have to generally love the calling of homeschooling and be passionate about it to do it well. And so if you're not feeling like you love it, I would just encourage you to pray that God would change your heart. In the beginning of my homeschooling journey, I knew why I wanted to do it, and I knew that I loved it, but I didn't love it as much as I love it now. And so there's growth to be had as the Lord, you know, sanctifies us through homeschooling our children. So I would say you do have to have a passion and a love for it in order to do it well. The next little tip that I have for you that allows me to homeschool my children well is that I have not completely lost myself in the process of being a homeschooling mom. There have been different years where that's been difficult for me, but I have found that just keeping one or two things that are just for myself, my exercise being one, my nutrition being another, doing a little job here on YouTube, you know, different little things that just they let me feel like I'm doing something that I enjoy, that's a hobby, that's a passion for me, that is completely outside and separate from my job as a homeschooling mom. And you heard me right, my job as a homeschooling mom. I do take homeschooling my children very seriously, and I think that that is key to homeschooling well, is taking it seriously. I treat it like not like a 9-to-5 job, but I treat it like this is what my call on my life is, and I want to do it well. I want to serve my kids well. I want to teach them well. I want them to be equipped to go out and change the world no matter what career path or life choice they make. I want to do it well. And I think sometimes we maybe are a little too relaxed with that. I think it does need to, you know, if you worked in a career, you know, you're going to work prepared. You're thinking the night before about what you have to do at work the next day. You're operating using systems and procedures for your job. And so all of that has translated into my homeschool as well. That has allowed me to do a good job. And I do take it seriously, and I do prepare, and I treat it like I would treat, even better than I would treat a career outside of the home, is just giving it that level of time, thought, attention, detail. All of that is very important. And that is my last little tip for you guys on how I homeschool well, is I operate from a prepared standpoint, from little things like setting my school table out the night before to, you know, just planning ahead for different outings or whatever the case might be, to planning out our meals for dinner so I'm not having to think about that, to making sure I get my groceries on the weekend so I'm not running out of things. Of course, you know, sometimes you get busy, you get behind, whatever the case might be, but I'm talking about this as like a generality. Like, these are the things in general that I do that allow me to homeschool well. And so operating out of a prepared place allows me to homeschool well, because otherwise I'm just reacting to whatever's going on that day and I'm not ahead. I like to always be kind of a little bit ahead in my mind and in my planning, so that way whatever happens, if something comes up and something has to change, I'm prepared with what I want to do instead of just reacting to the circumstances every day. And I think that that's key, is like when you wake up and you know, you're past the stages of infants and tiny toddlers like I am, there's really no reason why I can't think a little bit ahead for my homeschool. And so instead of waking up like, okay, I wonder what's going to happen today, I generally have an idea of what's going on, and so I'm a little more prepared, and that lends itself to a more streamlined you know, learning environment, and it just helps me homeschool my children well, is being prepared instead of being reactive. And so those are kind of like my biggest tips on how I homeschool my kids well. For those of you who asked me for this video, it really meant a lot that you guys, you know, gave me that compliment, or just, you know, have seen the growth of my kids through the little bit that I share here online. And I, instead of, you know, being like, oh, I don't want to say I homeschool well, because some people might be annoyed by that, but I truly do feel like I do a good job. And so I think that's okay to say. It's okay to say I do a good job in my homeschool. I mean, if you work hard every day at running and you get faster, it's okay to say I'm a good runner, you know? So why can't we ever say, you know, I do a good job at homeschooling. So I feel that I do a pretty good job. That's not to say I am not human and I lose my cool and I'm a mom and I am tired and I don't feel like doing school some days, because all of that is true. But in general, those are the things that I really felt have helped me homeschool well when I sat down to really think about it. So if you enjoyed today's video, I would love it if you would give me a thumbs up and let me know down in the comments below your thoughts on anything that I said, or if any of the tips really stuck out to you. I love to chat with you guys in the comments. It lets me know that these heartfelt mom heart-to-heart videos are helpful to you guys, and it just helps me to have your feedback. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a blessed day, and I will see you all really soon. Bye guys.